silence, and in the naked light I saw 10,000 people maybe.
I don't know what else I can say, but appreciate your time and your interest, and I hope you can get the word out.
Well, I think that I remember hearing you say that Adam said that you were his hero, and I think you may become America's hero.
Well, that's nice of you to say that.
Becky, we thank you very much.
Disturb the sound of silence.
Simon, has the Missing Children's Act signed by President Reagan last year in 1982 been effective so far?
Well, it is just getting started, and the answer is that it has the potential to really be effective, to provide some help, but we need some other things done, and we need cooperation of citizens. We need the cooperation of police departments.
What different things will this next Missing Children Act do that the original one did not?
Well, among other things, we will have an 800 number where people can call in who have information about a missing child, or they suspect something. That is one aspect. The second is to have a resource center where we pull information together, where we can determine patterns, where we can determine how we can be more helpful in cases where there are missing children.
Mr. Walsh, many parents complain that police do not take them seriously when they report a child is missing, that they say that the child most likely ran away. Have you encountered this as a problem?
Well, throughout the country, the misnomer of runaway is used. Right in your state, when John Wayne Gacy murdered 33 boys, those 33 boys were listed as runaways. All their parents, including a suburban chief of police, was told that their children were runaways. I don't think any police officer in this country has the arbitrary right to actually sign the death warrant of a child by listing them as a runaway, thereby prohibiting any type of a search. This new bill that we're proposing the Resource Center will try to change police attitudes. It will also try to educate police. A lot of people saw the movie Adam, don't realize the problem that exists on the scope of it, including police, and we're trying to change these attitudes. There are a lot of problems in Illinois. I think the people of Illinois should realize the scope of the problems there. I think a lot of people don't know that Congressman Simon, long before Adam, at least a year before Adam, was the original drafter and the original architect of the Missing Children's Bill. He proposed it, and we, on the Senate side, implemented it along with his approval, and he has always had interest in children, and I am here today to make that clear. I think that the people of Illinois should know what this gentleman has done in the issues of missing children, his feelings. He was there long before Adam was murdered, long before it became a national issue, and had a tough time convincing people that it was a national tragedy. With 1.8 million missing children reported this year alone, 50,000 children suspected victims of foul play, it affects everyone. And this legislation that we're working on with Congressman Simon is only step 2 of 100 steps that are needed.
Public awareness is an important element in prevention. What are some of your suggestions how we can heighten public awareness?
Well, number one, I think people have to realize that they can affect social change on every level, on a local level, a state level, as well as a national level, as long as they have a responsible congressman and people that will listen to them. Number two, I can't understand why safety with stranger awareness programs aren't in every school in the country. We have sex education, new math. I think it's our obligation to teach our children how to resist strangers and abductions. There are many, many techniques. The secret code word is just one. There's no equal power base between an adult and a child. They'll come up to a child with his name on his shirt and say, "Bobby, your mother was hit by a car. I'm here to take you to her." A child of any age would go. But parents and children should get together, formulate a secret code word. It can be anything, a favorite toy, a name of a TV show. And if a stranger comes up to the child and doesn't say the secret code word, no matter how convincing the story is, then the child should know, I won't go with that person. That's one of many, many tips that this new bill will disseminate through the United States through the Resource Center. If people are interested now, they can contact the Adam Walsh Child Resource Center or Congressman Simon's office, and we'll send them some of the new legislation on a statewide basis, some of the fingerprinting programs, some of the safety with strangers awareness programs. But people have to realize that their obligation, they've got to do something about it, and they've got to do something about it today.
If you could make a short statement to the American public to convince them that this is a problem, what would that be?
I would say that it happened to 50,000 parents last year, and it could happen to anyone. And that if people care about children or love children and don't want to go to a morgue to identify their child's body, then they should realize that this could happen to them. It's a national disgrace and a national tragedy, and it's our obligation as adults, parents, whatever, to do something about it.
Has a lack of funding been a problem?
Yes, it has. I will never, ever be able to accept the opposition to the Missing Children's Bill. Congressman Simon and myself and other individuals never gave up. It took us 16 months to get a simple bill through that should have been passed 10 years ago. Funding is a problem, but I think that the awareness is created now. This bill should fly. I hope so. I hope people listening to this will realize they have a good congressman in their state, but they have to beseech their other congressmen, their senators, and say, listen, we care about this bill. It needs to be passed because this $10 million is a drop in the bucket. It wouldn't even pay for 2 space suits on the space shuttle, and I think our children are a much higher priority and much more of a national resource than the space shuttle or anything like that, and I'm not criticizing it. I think we just have to reassess our priorities. In this particular case, I feel honored to be sitting here with Congressman Simon because long before I was aware of the problem of missing children, it was a priority in his legislative list.
How's the Adam Walsh Outreach Center coming along?
We're inundated by requests. We have people working round the clock. People are requesting information from other states about our Florida legislature, our Florida clearinghouse, our safety with strangers, and that's why this bill is so important. We can't handle the overload of requests. We can't handle it, and we need national assistance. We need national funding. We need national attention, and that is why this bill will be introduced in the House of Representatives with Congressman Simon as a co-sponsor next week.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I mean, I could talk for 3 days. I mean, there's that much about this issue, but I think you've got enough, and, you know, I don't want to sound self-serving, Becky, but I hope I made my point that it's a national tragedy and a national disgrace, and I'm sitting here today with a gentleman that was aware of this and tried to do something about it long before the story of Adam, long before Adam was murdered. Thousands of children before Adam and thousands after Adam have been murdered, and, you know, I hope that people throughout the country will realize that. I especially hope the people in Illinois, because I'll tell you something, Becky, I came up here and beat on doors for a whole year, and lots of congressmen slammed their doors on me, lots of apathetic congressmen, and you know, I'm sitting here with one today. I believe in giving credit where credit is due. I believe in this system. We affected social change, and there are people up here that have social awareness and social conscience, and I don't know. I think the people of Illinois should know that, and I don't know what else I can say, but you know, appreciate your time and your interest, and I hope you can get the word out.
Well, I think that I remember hearing you say that Adam said that you were his hero, and I think you may become America's hero.
Well, that's nice of you to say that.
Becky, we thank you very, very much. We appreciate the interest you and your station have shown in this issue.
Thank you very much, Congressman Simon.
Tonight, we will be going over some very distinct lines of John Walsh's book, Tears of Rage. I picked out these specific lines because they stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and I felt like they needed more discussion. I will start out by reading the prologue of his book, and we will go from there. Get ready for a ride, because there are not only hidden things in John's words, but also words that he often loves to exaggerate vigorously. Tears of rage, rage, or power. From grieving father to crusader for justice, the untold story of the Adam Walsh case for Adam, Meghan, Callahan, and Hayden and all the children we'll never meet. Here are the acknowledgments. Reeve and I would like to thank the people who have loved and supported us, the friends and family who suffered with us during unbearable grief, the volunteers whose time, money, and effort fueled the battle for children's rights, the caring politicians who drafted the laws, the members of the law enforcement community who protect me in the streets, the victims of violence who have opened their hearts, and the untold thousands who have regarded Adam as their own. So in the acknowledgments, what sticks out to me is the volunteers whose money, time, and effort fuel the battle for children's rights. Fueled the battle for children's rights. Think about that. The next one is the caring politicians who drafted the laws. This one sticks out to me, highlighting politicians. So he is pointing out these politicians in this case, which is very distinct. And then the next one is the members of the law enforcement community who protect me in the streets. Here you see the first time of him mentioning him being John, the fact of him referencing something to himself, which you'll see later on. In the book where he does this a lot, he is always referencing to himself, and he is always talking about himself and referencing everything to himself. Here we see the members of law enforcement community who protect me in the street. The next one is in the untold thousands who have regarded Adam as their own. So who has regarded them as their own? Who else has regarded our children as their own? Who else talks about it always being our children? It's about our children. It's about our children, but each is to its own, as Clinton always says, and Biden and all these other politicians. They're always saying our children are their children, and that's not true. So that's what got me in that section of the acknowledgement. So we'll move on to the next one. Next, we find a quote from someone named William Wordsworth. Sounds like a pretty cliche name, right? Wordsworth, not sure who this guy is, but pardon me, if you know who he is. But anyways, just thought I would point that out because that was kind of weird. So here is the quote from William Wordsworth. A simple child that lightly draws its breath and fills its life in every limb. What should it know of death? So here I highlighted this entire quote because it's strange. We're going to read it one more time. A simple child that lightly draws its breath and fills its life in every limb. What should it know of death? You guys feel free to comment below on this one and tell me your thoughts, because my thoughts on this particular quote used whether John picked this quote or Reva, I'm not sure, but it's almost like I don't even know how to describe it. It lightly draws its breath and its life in every limb. What should it know of death? If you're talking about a child, why would you call it an it? A child is not an it. It is a being. So it's almost like this quote is talking about a thing, not a person, not a child. And it was kind of disturbing to me. So you guys tell me your thoughts on that one. Next is the prologue. In this prologue, I will highlight, as I said before, some of the things that I pointed out that were key points to look into. The first quote, and when they ask, as I'm sure they will, why I have decided to speak about these things, I will have an answer for them. My answer is, my hope is that these words will stand as a testament to the many sacrifices that were made. First of all, I want to point out, obviously, many sacrifices, John. What sacrifices are you talking about, John? What sacrifices did you make, John? And what did you do? This particular quote is very disturbing. It's almost kind of like we haven't even started the book, and you're already talking about sacrifices. Many instances, we all think about the different sacrifices in daily life that we make, and many of us would not pick out this word and look into it and analyze it so much as we would, but I'm going to do it, I don't care. Because these are the things that we need to talk about. These things do happen, and these things I'm telling you about are disturbing, and yes, it involves our children, and yes, this man is intriguingly, profusely, and vigorously involved. This instance in this quote, where again he mentions many sacrifices were made, seems to me like almost a confession of some sort of way where John can get it off of his chest, in other words, and in his other words he uses this book. Again, here are the words from John Walsh himself. Quote, the next paragraph, my wife Rev and I did not make all of these sacrifices ourselves. There are others who helped carry the burden. We did not respond, for example, to the particular request that I'm about to relate. We were spared little over the whole course of events, but we were saved from this at least. The request was for someone close to us, a friend. A family member would have been ideal, but was judged ultimately to be unwise. And so a friend, one who knew us well, went instead. Years before, I had done him what he regarded as a great favor, and now he believed that, as difficult as it might be, it was time to repay the kindness. He left, accompanied by detective, and drove recklessly in his white convertible up the concrete highway at an irresponsible speed. The August sun beat down on him, in the hot dry. Tory smell of the road swirled around them both. They did not speak. He was marshaling his strength, focusing himself, concentrating on the task at hand, and finally, after an hour, they came to the place. For some time, I did not know about what happened next. I was later told some of it because I had asked to be told. I did not want to know all of it, and I still do not want to know all of it. But it is important for these unspeakable things to be spoken of, because they actually happened in this world. My friend remembers walking up what seemed like an endless flight of wooden stairs. to a set of swinging doors, scuff at the bottom by impatient technicians who had kicked them open with their feet. Panes of frosted glass in these doors let light through, but obscured the things that took place within. He remembers the odor, the defective and the formaldehyde, the coldness seeing the stainless instruments labor precisely on the countertops beneath. In the center of the room he described was a willed stainless steel table. A man wearing a clinical white knee-length smock walked up to him. "Can you do this?" my friend was asked. "Yes," he replied. Then they brought out something, swallowed in white towels like a newborn, and laid it out in front of him. The warm brackish water had done its work, transforming something once known intimately into something that could not exist, even in the darkest imagination. But it did exist. It was now irrefutable. The eyes, once clear, were not open. They were clouded, unseen. The soft blonde hair, always straight, was now tangled and matted. The unblemished skin, this kind that had never deeply tanned, was taut, like a thin, she think of plastic that no longer contained anything. Beneath that, below the thin neck, where T-shirts once were covered the muscles of a small chest, and where the fingers and the feet once have been and inhaled in loving hands, there was now nothing. What was presented for identification in the strange, unfamiliar setting was all that remained. The day before, 2 workers from the citrus fields who had cast their lines for bray and catfish had been walking along a fitted drainage canal not far from the Florida Turnpike, where they saw something floating in distilled water among the sawgrass and pepper weeds. They later said that, at least, they thought it was the head of that little girl's life-size doll. Now there was only this procedure of unofficial identification. And so my friend asked in a single breath if he might have shown, if they could please part the lips. They did. Only then he see again what he had seen, and remembered just days, a lifetime ago, there, in the delicate gap, was a small, emerging tooth. And then he knew. All these years later, he still dreams of it. The face, he says, appears out of the darkness while he is sleeping. The image still comes to him when he cannot protect himself from it during the night. And sometimes when it comes, he says, it is wearing a child's red baseball cap. It is fitting that these things are called the remains. Those words describe what still exists when all that has gone before it no longer does. The deed, the chosen action that would come to be called the crime, had taken away everything that had been and had left in its place. Something that could not be comprehended or understood, something that, 16 years later as I'm writing this book, we still cannot believe. There have been promised, and now there was none. There have been an endless wellspring of hope and future, and now it was gone. What we had once loved with all of our beings and believed we would always continue to love, that which we had cherished all of the above all else, no longer existed. This was all that remained of a little boy. The child on the autopsy table was my 6-year-old son, Adam. This is the end of the prologue. First, I will start with talking about this friend that John speaks of in the text when he's describing this friend that supposedly had identified Adam, and the friend that was actually sent to identify Adam, as we do know who this friend is, even though he did ever mention of whom this friend really was in the text. I may be biased, but normal people, I wouldn't think, would send a friend to identify their child, especially their remains of their child. Would you pick? In certain circumstances, maybe people do this, but in most certain cities, circumstances, I believe that they would send, at least, somewhat of the family, such as a family member, if not the parent or parents themselves or one of the parents themselves. But this friend, who John claims has identified Adam's so-called head, will become a very distinctive character in this story, if you would, and we will disclose to you very descriptively, very knowingly, and detailed to you to which whom this person was, or should I say who he really was and what his life detailed. As this person, this friend, this close friend to which identified Adam, or shall I say Adam's so-called head, will become very important in John's life, as he states already in this text. Also, I would like to know what you guys think of the way John describes loving Adam in the past tense, as if he does not love him anymore, and how he describes Adam such as this boy or the little boy. John, for years, has described Adam in many, many other instances and videoed interviews Adam as only a boy or that little boy, which always stood out to me, almost like Adam was not even his own son. So on the next episode, we will reveal who this person is, who this friend is, who this closest associate of his is, and who he claims as an important friend, close friend of John's, and we will be detailing everything about him to you, including everything about who he was and what he was involved in. So stay tuned and please comment and subscribe and like our video, as well as share with anyone you'd like. I apologize to have had a late start tonight, as Meghan and I have both had a crazy, crazy day, almost as if it was a Monday. We will see you guys next week. We look forward to your comments. And also, I want to add, please do not forget to go to the video about the petition for Meghan's children to be returned to her that we will be sending to the FBI and to Deputy Director Chief of the FBI, Dan Bongino. So we do need your signature for this petition so we can get as many signatures and many people behind us as possible to push these people for change and for the return of Meghan's children as soon as possible, because we are no longer taking any crap from them anymore, nor are we taking any crap from John Walsh. Time is up and it's over, and we are ready and we need your help. Thank you again for watching and sharing Adam and Meghan's story. The real truth and real justice will be served for the both of them, as we will no longer stand for any more betrayal, as truth will come to light.